I really fancy seeing that movie over the weekend, E.T. Fridays mid-morning, we'll be here after the news at 10.
Norfolk News, Norfolk Life.
This is BBC Radio Norfolk.
£10, latest news for you right now. Here's Lucy Lightfoot.
NHS services across England could be dramatically cut as part of wide-ranging efficiency plans seen by the BBC. 44 areas have been asked to draw up cost-cutting measures, which will be put out to consultation in the autumn. The proposals include cuts to bed numbers and changes to care provided by GPs and A&E departments. The former Conservative Health Secretary Stephen Dorrell believes the proposals are about improving links between hospitals and care services.
Hospitals are run too often as islands divorced from the rest from primary care, from community services, and from the rest of local public services. And of course the system's under stress, and I think it's well documented that the resources available in particular to social care aren't sufficient to allow proper care and support to be delivered.
A woman in her 30s has been hurt in a crash on the A11 this morning. The roads are still closed northbound after the collision between a car and a lorry at Attleborough. It's likely to be shut until lunchtime. Her injuries aren't thought to be life-threatening. A Great Yarmouth lorry driver will go on trial for 6 charges of dangerous driving. A traction engine came off the back of 52-year-old Philip Last's lorry in Essex, injuring 23 passengers on a bus last September. He denied a series of offences at Ipswich Crown Court, as Kevin Birch reports.
Well, although the crash happened at East Mersey, the allegation of dangerous driving through the wording of the charge relates to a number of specific locations before that incident happened, namely Nacton Road in Suffolk, the A14, the A12, Beerchurch Hall Road, Mersey Road and East Mersey Road. Well, the hearing lasted just under 15 minutes, and to each of the 6 charges, Philip Last replied, not guilty.
In court, the judge, John DeVoe, told Philip Last that his trial will take place on the 27th of February next year.
3 Britons are thought to be among the 267 people now known to have died in the earthquake that struck Italy on Wednesday. A state of emergency has been declared in the worst affected areas. Rescue workers are still searching for survivors in the rubble. Danio Genovese from Save the Children Italy is setting up a centre for children in Amatrice, one of the 3 worst hit towns.
It's a space where children can feel protected, where children can play, where children can draw, because these children are very shocked in this moment, and what they need is to restore, is to recover a little bit, and is to find again a little bit of normalcy in their life.
A council in Norfolk says it's been checking people's bins to make sure they're recycling properly. Broadland Council's been going through the bins to see if they're contaminated by other waste. BBC Radio Norfolk News, it's 3 minutes past 10.
BBC Radio Norfolk weather.
Fine and sunny day today, feeling less humid than recently, but still quite warm in the sunshine, top temperature of 24. Tonight, dry and clear, light winds, and it will turn rather chilly overnight as well. The odd patch of mist or fog by dawn. Overnight temperatures down to 13.
Chrissie Jackson on BBC Radio Norfolk.
Well, good morning. We're heading towards another bank holiday weekend. To kick off our Friday What's Ons, Kate Royal tells us about the World Crabbing Championships this weekend. And let me know your local events as well. The more the merrier. We'll get you on. You can tell everyone all about it. 01603 617 321. And did you hear about Jane Gordon, who left her 300-year-old violin on a train? Makes a change from the usual mobile and umbrellas, I suppose. I'm after your stories of the times you left something behind. Producer Debs hasn't lived down the time she left behind a kitchen broom. Why? We'll find out. 01603 617 321. And after 10:30, after a serious road collision, Steve Hopwood suffered life-changing injuries. He said, "Whilst my injuries changed my life beyond all comprehension, I've done things that pre-accidents I would never have got involved in." Steve will be telling me about his story and how he's getting involved in a project aimed at raising funds to research phantom pain. We're kicking off with our On This Day music history track for today. And on this day, 26th of August 1965, it was Sonny and Cher that were at number one on the UK singles chart with... well, you can guess what it is. We're going to be playing that in just a tick. It was the duo's only UK number one, and Sonny Bono was inspired to write this song to capitalise on the popularity of a certain word that was repeated quite often in Bob Dylan's It Ain't Me, Babe. Yeah, that word was babe, and this is I Got You, Babe.
I got you, babe. I got you, babe. They say our love won't pay the rent, for it's earned, our money's all been spent. I guess that's so we don't have a plot, but at least I'm sure of all the things we got. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. I got flowers in the spring. I got you to wear my ring. And when I'm sad, you're a clown. And if I get scared, you're always around. So let them say your hair's too long, 'cause I don't care. With you I can't go wrong. Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. I got you to hold my hand. I got you to understand. I got you to walk with me. I got you to talk with me. I got you to kiss goodnight. I got you to hold me tight. I got you, I won't let go. I got you to love me so. I got you, babe. 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 I got you, babe.
Sonny and Cher, I Got You, Babe. Good morning, it's Chrissie Jackson till midday. Oh, another thing that we're going to be talking about on Mid-Morning today. As always on a Friday, we talk about TV and Mid-Morning team get together and we just have a bit of a chat about stuff we've been watching this week and what we're looking forward to watching next week. But we're after your ideas as well. What have you been enjoying on the box? Let us know. You can text in 81333 and start your message with the word Norfolk. Ah, recognise that music? Time for another headline suggestion. Simple game, but we've got producer Debs today who's going to give you a news story from today's papers, and we want you to come up with a suitable, what are we going to call it?
Deb's line.
A Debs line.
As in deadline, but Deb's line.
See what we did there? And you can text in your suggestions to 81333 and start your message with the word Norfolk. Here comes your finale, Debs.
I feel like like I should give a speech now.
Right, put on the newsreader voice.
Okay, well,
what have we got today?
Today, here we go. Spectators at England's grandest cricket ground have been warned about causing injuries to fielders by hitting them with flying champagne corks.
As you would do.
I love it. I absolutely love that story.
Text in, we need a suitable Deb's line for that.
Deb's line, yes, please.
Yes, 81333 and start your message with the word Norfolk. This is the first time you played this game.
It is, and it's great.
So we'll run the rules by you.
Okay.
First of all, there are no rules.
Okay.
Because your decision is final. Judge's decision is final. You've got until you've got just over an hour, really, to pick your favourite three.
So the first rule of Deb's lines is there are no rules.
There are no rules.
Okay. I'm loving it already.
Or we could just say we make it up as we go along, which we probably do.
Let's not say that. It's obviously a very professional, lots of care and hours obviously go into the making of this feature.
Not.
Shall I read out again?
Yeah, do the story again, Debs.
Spectators at England's grandest cricket ground have been warned about causing injuries to fielders by hitting them with flying champagne corks.
You got plenty to go on there with the champagne and the cricket field and whatever other cricket terms you can come up with.
Oh, yes.
81333 and start your message with the word Norfolk.
Where is the moment we need it the most? You kick up the leaves and the magic is lost. Tell me your blue skies fade to grey. Tell me your passion's gone away, and I don't need no carrying on. You stand in the line just to hit a new low. You're faking a smile with the coffee to go. And tell me your life's been way offline. You fall into pieces every time, and I don't need no carrying on. 'Cause you had a bad day, you're taking one down. You sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know, you tell me don't lie. You're working a smile and you go for a ride. You had a bad day, the camera don't lie. You're coming back down and you really don't mind. You had a bad day. You had a bad day. Well, you need a blue sky holiday. The point is they laugh at what you say, and I don't need no carrying on. You had a bad day, you're taking one down. You sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know, you tell me don't lie. You're working a smile and you go for a ride. You had a bad day, the camera don't lie. You're coming back down and you really don't mind. You had a bad day. Sometimes the system goes on the fling and the whole thing it turns out wrong. You might not make it back and you know that you could be well, that's wrong, and I'm not wrong. So where was the passion when you needed the most? Oh, you and I, you kick up the leaves and the magic is lost. 'Cause you had a bad day, you're taking one down. You sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know, you tell me don't lie. You're working a smile and you go for a ride. You had a bad day, you see what you like, and how does it feel? One more time, you had a bad day. You had a bad day. Had a bad day.
Daniel Powter and Bad Day. So we're heading to another bank holiday weekend. Let me know where you're off to and what local events are happening. We like to try and cram in as much as we can on a Friday. So give us a call, 01603 617 321. We'll try and get to talk to as many of you as we can. We're going to have a chat to Kate Royal now, who's going to tell us all about the World Pier Crabbing Championships in Cromer, of course. Kate, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. First of all, for anyone who doesn't know, because the history behind this.
Sure. So the World Pier Crabbing Championships is run by the Crab and Lobster Festival, which is based in Sheringham and Cromer. They came up with the idea when it started years ago, and just thought it was a great idea to kind of have a formal competition on the pier, so everyone can try and win a world title. And it's kind of grown from there. It's run by Tony Ship. He's the chairman of Cromer Carnival, and he's been running crabbing competitions for about 45 years.
OK, your phone is a little bit dodgy there, the signal, so I missed how many years you said that it had been going for.
It's about 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah, but the organiser's actually been running crabbing competitions for about 45 years.
OK. Well, we'll carry on for a little while, but if you keep sort of dipping out, we might have to go on to something else. How do people get involved, Kate? What happens?
So people can turn up at 10 o'clock on Sunday. World Crabbing Championship is actually...
Right, I think... right, what I want you to do, Kate, if you can just put your phone down, then we'll try and reconnect with you, because the line's really bad and we do want to get all that information out. The World Crabbing Championships. Kate, hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello. That's a lot better. Where have you moved to?
Higher ground. It's the joys of Norfolk and no phone signal.
Yeah, doesn't this happen quite a lot? Anyway, where did we get to? The World Pier Crabbing Championships. It's been going since 2010. 2010, and you've got this year's competition starts on Sunday. So
it starts on Sunday, yes. So the competition starts at 10:30. People can register from 10 o'clock, and the actual World Championship is judged on the most crabs caught on a hand line, although there is a separate competition for people using nets as well. So it's quite competitive. There's 40 pitches available on the pier, so it's a first come, first serve. So I'd encourage people to get down there quickly.
Yeah, did you have people queuing up from right early on?
We do. We have a lot of locals that take part, but it's also a kind of a favourite of visitors as well. You know, it's one of those key things that you do when you come to Cromer. You've got to kind of spend a bit of time crabbing on the pier and see what all the kind of fuss is about. And we call it the World Championship. So what's the furthest anyone's ever travelled to take part? Do you know? We've had a lot of competitors come from Scotland and across the country. I think we've yet to have an international competitor, but he's hoping for this year. You never know. Well, you never know. And Riley Stokes of Cromer was last year's winner, and he's only 4. He's 4 years old. Yeah, not only is he the current world champion, but he also holds the record for the most crabs caught on a hand line in any year of the competition, which is a total of 6. It's very difficult to land crabs on a hand line, simply because you've got to keep them kind of clinging onto the bait the full length you pull them up over the side of the pier. So it's quite a tricky thing to get right, which is why it's so competitive. And what about Riley? Will Riley be back to try and defend the title? He is. We've spoken to his dad, Wes, who's a Cromer lifeboatman, and they said they're going to come back and try and regain the title. Riley's grandfather is a crab fisherman, so everything's riding on it. Oh, well, yeah, he knows a thing or two. It's in his blood, basically, isn't it? He does. He knows what bait to use as well. Right, so we'll just remind everyone to get there on Sunday, nice and early if they can. You've got 40 pitches available. Yeah, registration's from 10 o'clock, but the competition starts at 10:30. There's a whole host of rules which tells you more about the competition, and they're on our website, which is crabandlobsterfestival.co.uk. And how much does it cost to register, Kate? It costs £1 per line per entrance, so it's something that all the family can do together, which is really great. There's no age restriction, higher or lower, so everybody can take part. Excellent. Well, we wish you lots of luck with that. I'm glad we finally got to have a chat about it anyway. Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great weekend. And you too, Kate. Thank you.
It's been going now for a few seconds. Straight up, it looks an exceptionally good launch.
Do you remember when Britain sent a satellite into space?
It was a bit of really good British engineering that didn't get the publicity that it deserved at the time.
Or did you know that Brancaster was once in line to be the launch site?
That's the part of the story which is so fascinating. If they had have brought here, what would have happened for the village?
Join us this Bank Holiday Monday at 6 for Space Station Norfolk. The story of how our county almost joined the space race. BBC Radio Norfolk. You're part of the BBC.
BBC Radio Norfolk Travel.
And here's Russell.
Well, the A11 is closed northbound at Chrissie at Attleborough. They've got it closed from the Brecklin Lodge roundabout towards the Ellingham Road. They reckon it will be till lunchtime. It's causing some queues. There's an air ambulance on the scene, and there are also queues going the other way as well as you head away from Attleborough towards Snetterton for a few miles. Thetford Bypass looking very busy on the speed sensors on that stretch of the A11. A1065 through Brandon looking busy, where a lot of the traffic perhaps is diverting. And I'm seeing some delays on the A1101 coming away from Thetford towards the Bury St Edmunds direction. The delays before you get to Lackford, so that's the section there looking very, very busy. Now on the A47, the Blowfield bypass looks busy each way, especially towards Great Yarmouth. Then coming away from Great Yarmouth, it looks very slow on the A47 towards the Acle roundabout. The A149 very slow coming down Lawn Avenue to North Quay, Great Yarmouth, and the A12 coming up towards the Gapton Hall roundabout into Great Yarmouth, also very busy. There are delays on the A47 coming towards the county at Guy Hearn, coming towards the A1101 at Wisbeach, and then as you approach the pullover roundabout, it's looking slow as well. And if there's anything more where you are, do let me know. 0330 123 3551. The next update is in half an hour.
That's Chic and Good Times. Now, before midday, I'll be meeting a double amputee who's raising funds to research phantom pain. Also finding out about the preparations at Bircham Windmill for their own baking competition. And as part of our Broads Week, I'll also be talking to Dave North from the Norfolk Wildlife Trust. And of course, we're after your headlines, Deb lines today as well. We'll remind you of that story that's coming up. And lost property, what's that all about?
Chrissie Jackson on BBC Radio Norfolk.
Let's remind you of our story today for Deb lines. We haven't got headlines, we've got Deb's lines.
Not easy to say, is it?
It's not
easy to say.
Right, just remind everyone about that story.
Spectators at England's grandest cricket ground have been warned about causing injuries to fielders by hitting them with flying champagne corks.
There we are. Plenty to go on there, as they say. 81333, start your message with the word Norfolk, and Debs is going to pick her favourites before 11:30, so get on the lines. We're also after your what's-ons as well, so give us a call if you wanted to give something a plug for you. Now, you get a sinking feeling in your stomach and you get a little bit of a nervous sweat. That feeling when you've left something behind is awful. Well, you can imagine how poor Jane Gordon feels. She left her 300-year-old Maggini violin behind on the train in London, as you do. 300 years old. That's worth a bob or two. In actual fact, tens of thousands of pounds. And Jane was due to play it at the proms next week. CCTV has spotted a passenger picking up the instrument a few hours later. Is that person going to hand it in? We haven't had any word whether it has yet.
There is she offered a small reward for it, but I mean, it's priceless, isn't it? What reward?
Of course, whoever picked that up is now going to know how expensive that is,
Exactly.
and what it's worth. What's the most precious thing you've ever left behind or lost? Now, I teased this up just after 10, Debs, and said you had a story about a broom. What's going on there?
So it's not a precious broom. It wasn't worth tens of thousands of pounds. But on my last day of university, when I left my uni house, I'd borrowed some cleaning equipment from mum and dad. So you get your deposit back. Had to clean really well. So I borrowed their kitchen broom, and I accidentally left it behind, and still to this day my mum won't trust me with things because she said, well, you still left our broom there.
You'll never live that down,
I might just
Debs.
get reminded of it every time I want to borrow something.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be anything very expensive, just a little thing that you've left behind and you kick yourself or people remind you about it.
I mean, it was a good broom.
We once left a bag on Eurostar. Yeah, and we got off at Ashford and we left it there, and of course the train was going straight through. Is it Pancras? St Pancras.
St Pancras, yeah.
Where it went through there, and we phoned and they said no, there isn't a bag on here. Thing is, it had our spare house keys in it and car key as well. That was all in there, and we had to try and get home and then come back the next day when they'd phoned to say that it had been recovered after all, and it was on the train, so we had to drive all the way down.
Well, a few weeks ago I was on holiday, and one of my nieces, she must have put her bag down behind the car on the beach, and then of course we've driven away and left it there. That had her phone in, that had a camera in, that had money in there, all sorts of things. And just blind panic. We turned the cottage upside down looking for it, and eventually when we went back to the beach a few days later, one of the lifeguards said that it's been in the hut all this time.
Oh, so you got it back?
So we eventually got it back, but that panic, and she felt awful about it.
Yeah. But we've all had it though, that blank moment. You just leave something behind.
We all do it. That's the thing. You can't. She's 12. You can't be mad at her because I left my mum's broom behind. We've all done it.
We've all done it. So whether it's a broom, whether it's your mobile phone, whether it's a 300-year-old violin, things that you have left behind. 01603 617 321.
So good on paper, so romantic. So don't mind if I fall apart. There's more room in a broken heart. And I believe in love. But what else can I do? I'm so in love with you. I know nothing stays the same, but if you're willing to play the game, it will be coming around again. I'm as deep as love. I'm as deep as love. I'm as deep as love. I know nothing stays the same, but if you're willing to play the game, it will be coming around again. I do believe in love. I believe in love. Coming around again, coming around again. Nothing stays the same, but if you're willing to play the game, it will be coming around again. I believe in love. I believe in love. And it's coming around.
Carly Simon. Coming around again. Good morning, it's Chrissie until midday, BBC Radio Norfolk. Well, after being involved in a serious road traffic collision 30 years ago, Steve Hopwood was left with life-changing injuries. He lost his right arm above the elbow and right leg below the knee. Since then, he's been determined not to let it get in the way of life. He won a scholarship to learn to fly in South Africa, appeared in countless TV dramas and feature films, and worked as a casualty simulation artist in the military. Steve is here with us right now. Steve, lovely to meet you.
Yeah, good morning.
Lovely to meet you. Before we move on, because you know one of the topics we've got today is things that have been left behind.
Yeah.
And you said that you'd left some things behind. What is that?
Well, it wasn't intentionally, but 24th of July 1986, I was taken into Addenbrooke's Hospital with 2 arms and 2 legs, and November 86, I came out with only 1 arm and 1 leg. Mind you, I had some prosthetic limbs to match up with the ones that were missing. So, yes, I left bits behind, as they say.
What about your prosthetics now? Have you ever left them behind?
No, but I've stood up once, got out of bed and forgot to put my leg on, and you only tend to do that once in your life because, you can't walk.
You'll soon remember that. You'll still. Well, take us back to that day. I mean, the date when you had this accident.
Yeah. It's seared in my memory.
It is.
I cannot remember a thing about it. I was working for the good old electricity board at the time, and I was working at Saffron Walden, I believe. But what I did that day, I cannot remember. Cannot remember the accident. All I remember is the accident was on a Thursday, 4:20 in the afternoon. I know where it happened, and sometime on Sunday, I heard music, and then I heard this strange song that was being played on the charts at the time.
Right, well, don't say what it is, because we're going to play that for you in a little while.
And then lights and vision came back on again sometime on the Monday. So I lost 4 days of my life.
Oh, and that date was the 24th of July 1986.
Yes, 2 days before my wedding anniversary.
You passed your 30 years then, 30 years ago.
Yeah,
that this happened.
Just recently, it was my 30th anniversary. So
did you ever find out what happened? You can't remember it, but what
I know,
other people told you?
I've got all the facts, the police report. Basically, a chap coming the other way, he'd been on holiday at Cromer, I believe. I was living in Cambridge. I was working in Cambridge and living at Littleport. He was coming home back to RF Whitton, came around roundabout and he fell asleep. He was tired, he'd had an exhausted night, been on holiday, and I was coming the other way and he just took me out. They are the facts. He caused the accident. I've never met him. It's something that happened. Yeah, I mean, it was an accident. Wrong place at wrong time.
This happened 30 years ago, and you can't remember anything about it.
No.
but you just come round in the hospital.
I
then?
I had amnesia. So I was apparently talking to my wife and the staff, but they thought I was a bit strange because of the way I was talking to them. And then all of a sudden, the surgeon and my wife were beside my bed in mid-conversation like we are now. And I said, what the gosh am I doing here? And they said, you've had an accident. And looked at my arm had been taken off, and it was my shoulder was all black and blue. My leg was a scaffolding to hold it together. And I thought I was in the old Norfolk Norwich. And they said, no, you're in Edinburgh's. And slowly, I realised where I was. But I'd lost 4 days, completely gone. Couldn't remember a thing. Wasn't unconscious, just in this strange existence, which I should never, ever get back.
Was it you that realised that you'd lost those limbs right there and then, or you just can't take it in?
I remember laying in bed, in the hospital bed.
And someone has to break that news to you?
I couldn't move. I was just lying there, and I think my wife said, because I said, why am I here? And she said, you lost your arm. And I looked down, and it wasn't there. And it was a bit like, wham, being hit with this big sledgehammer.
Were you there and you think to yourself, this must be a dream. I'm going to wake up in a minute.
Yeah. It was surreal for about the first 2 or 3 weeks. It was like you'd been on holiday somewhere, and then slowly reality kicks in, and this is it. I couldn't. I mean, I was 28 when I had the accident, and I used to think I cannot see myself being 58 as I am now, and still being disabled. But here I am 30 years down the road and still the same.
What was it like adapting to the new you?
It's a bit like being violently and abruptly taken out of your everyday comfort surroundings and dumped in a barren desert island of loneliness and isolation. And the only people on there are these little natives who speak gumbo gumbo. They're the hospital staff, everybody who works in the hospital. They helped me create this craft, which I escaped off that island and pedalled like mad after the ship Life, which has gone off over the horizon. And I realised I was in this big wavy, big ocean, but I was still alive.
That's the only way you could cope with it, really.
Still floating.
How long was the treatment for you?
30 years. It's still going on.
Still going on?
Yeah. I was in the hospital 4 months. I was on the ward for 6 weeks, then down to rehab where they taught me to walk and use my prosthetic arm, but I still have to receive hospital treatment, go back for have my arm and leg resorted. So I'm still a patient under the hospital, and I still will be forevermore.
But you decided, that's it, I'm going to go off and I'm going to do other things. I mean, you've said that you've done things since then that prior to your accident,
oh yeah,
you wouldn't even have dreamt.
Easy option would be to say, I can't, I won't, I never will. I cannot walk with this plastic leg I've got. I can't use this plastic thing on my arm. But can't is negative. I had a strong family behind me. I had a strong OT who got me going. The physios helped me to walk. And I got out there, and instead of sitting back and doing nothing, I got out there and did things. I call myself a reluctant explorer, because I've been forced into this situation where I have this journey where I have to go. Because sitting down and doing nothing isn't the answer. So I found things which I didn't realise I could do before. Things which weren't available before.
We're going to play a song now. You introduce the song and why you want to hear it.
This is Jermaine Sturt, We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off, because that was the record I very first heard in hospital. And I used to think, what a strange title for a song. And that was the first thing I can remember, in the early days.
want your body. But we don't have to rush the affair. So you say you want to taste my wine? Not yet. So come on, baby, won't you show some class? Why you wanna move so fast? We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time. Oh no, we could dance and party
Jermaine Stewart, and we don't have to take our clothes off. Steve Hopwood has chosen that song. Steve Hopwood in the studio with me at the moment. Steve, how do you feel when you hear that?
Takes me right back. I can close my eyes and I'm still on the ward, C5 at Addenbrooke's. It's like being sucked back.
And you're there 30 years
I'm
ago.
there, yeah.
But you don't mind listening to it now?
No, because that's it's one of the cues of the thing that happened to me. The accident. It's not a painful memory. It's just one. It's
something that happened. You've dealt with it, and what a way you've dealt with it. With the way your life has turned out. Since then, I must tell you, whilst the song was on, I'm saying to Steve, "Oh, Steve, we'll have to make a list about the things you've done because you've been on TV." And then you said,
"How long have you got?"
And then you said, "I'm working on a film with
Liam Neeson."
Working on a film with Liam Neeson. How come?
Because they need amputees. I can't go into too much detail, but they need an amputee. It's a train scene, and being an amputee, they want someone with a prosthetic arm sitting there. So I'm using my...
the way you are now?
Yes.
Is the way you live your life now?
Okay, the disability, because I am disabled. I meet the criteria of the law, and they need somebody with a prosthetic arm. So,
tell me more about this research that you want to get off the ground, and you want to try and get funding about phantom limb pain, which is what you suffer from 30 years on.
Yes, it drives me crackers. It's there all day, every day. It hums, it fuzzes, it pins and needles. I can be sitting watching telly, and all of a sudden, wham! I get these pins and needles, excruciating pain in my arm, and nothing can stop it. I take medication which zonks me out. I can have a nice drop of whiskey which just makes me sleepy, but you wake up and it's still there.
You still think your arm and your hand is still there and your leg is still there?
I have a fuzzy feeling of a vague arm, of a hand somewhere. In the early days I could feel my thumb and forefinger quite I could move them like I move them now. I couldn't touch them together, but I could move my thumb and forefinger. But obviously I didn't have a thumb and forefinger to move. But
in your mind, in your mind you did.
Yeah.
What is this research like?
The research,
what are you doing?
Is it's through Crowdicare, through the crowdfunding network. The doctor's trying to raise funds to look into a project using holograms. The patient, like myself, would be connected to a camera, and there'd be a hologram image of an arm. So if I thought about moving my arm, the brain would then hopefully reduce the pain, or the pain going to the levels would be reduced.
And you've tried this out?
I've tried a similar project down at Stanmore Hospital in Middlesex, the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, where they use virtual reality goggles. And I've actually been able to pick up a block which is created by the computer, a block on a table, which I can see through these goggles, pick them up using my right arm and build a wall.
That's incredible.
That's absolutely fantastic.
That's absolutely incredible.
I couldn't believe it. When I first did it, I said to the doctor, "Who operated the hand?" And he said, "You did." And I said, "Well, no, because I haven't done nothing." But he said, "We can see on a computer where the impulses are going up and down. And as soon as I looked at the block, the impulses went up. So my brain recognised the hand over the block and told the nerves, which told the computer to pick the hand up."
That is incredible. How can people help? I mean, what do you want to say to people now?
Through Stanmore, they've got the funding for that project.
And how much does it cost?
Through Crowdicare, they're looking at £250,000 at least. So unfortunately, I haven't got that in the bank. So they're just looking for any sort of funding through
And how does anyone do that? Do you contact the hospitals direct? Or
no,
what
not the hospital for that project, but through the hologram one. It's crowdicare.com, and there's a website where people can go onto it and then log in, and there is a donation page on there.
Okay, all right. Well, and
hopefully.
Good luck to you, Steve. Keep in contact.
Will
Let
do.
us know, what happens and, what happens next in your incredible story.
Well, I'm waiting for the red carpet treatment, but I don't think I'm quite there yet.
Oh, you'll get that. You will. Lovely to talk to you anyway,
Thank you.
Steve. You take care.
Cheerio then. Bye.
Another day, another night, I long to hold you tight, 'cause I'm so lonely. Baby, I need your loving, got to have all your loving. Baby, I need your loving, got to have all your loving. Some say it's a sign of weakness for a man to beg. Then weak I'd rather be, if it means having you to keep. 'Cause lately I've been losing sleep. Baby, I need your loving, got to have all your loving. Baby, I need your loving, got to have all your loving. Empty nights echo your name. Oh, sometimes I wonder, will I ever be the same? Oh yeah, when you see me smiling, you know things have gotten worse. Any smile you might see has all been rehearsed. Darling, I can't go on without you. This emptiness won't let me live without you. This loneliness inside, darling, makes me feel half alive. Baby, I need your love.
Four Tops and Baby, I Need Your Loving. Steve Hopwood, what a man, hey? Love talking to him. Bank holiday weekend coming up. What's happening right here on Radio Norfolk on Bank Holiday Monday?
Whatever you're doing this Bank Holiday Monday, do it with BBC Radio Norfolk.
If you're an early riser, join me, Wally Webb. I'll be waking up the county from 4.
And join me, Chrissie Jackson, from 6 as I bring you all the latest news for the day and some great music to get your bank holiday going.
From 9, get your country fix with me, Keith Greentree, as I bring you 3 hours of summer country.
I'm Tim Adicott, and from midday, I'll ease you into the afternoon with a One Foot in the Groove special.
If you want to be kept up to date with all the latest sports news, plus a look back to the Olympics and a look forward to the Paralympics, join me, Jay Lawrence, from 3.
And did you know that a Norfolk village could have joined the space race? I'm Paul Hayes, and I'll be discovering all the details from 6.
Whatever you're doing this Bank Holiday Monday, do it with BBC Radio Norfolk. You're part of the BBC.
BBC Radio Norfolk Travel.
Here's Russell.
Very, very busy with the closure of the A11. It's closed northbound, so towards Norwich in the Attleborough area, going from the Breckland Lodge roundabout to the Ellingham Road. It's causing delays towards there. There are queues the other way as well for quite a few miles as you approach the Breckland Lodge roundabout. London Road, Attleborough queuing as well. Other nearby roads very, very busy too. And there are also a number of other delays showing on the speed sensors as well. The A47 coming towards the county, very slow at Guyherne, then both directions approaching the A1101 Wisbeach and Emnith turn. There's a queue coming the approach to the Pullover roundabout, and then at the end of the approach to the Hardwick roundabout, it queues on to the A149 towards the Jubilee roundabout from there. Heading away from Kings Lynn at East Rudham on the A148, there's a queue. Other directions slow coming around the Fakenham bypass towards the A1065 if you're going towards Kings Lynn. A149 very slow each way into North Walsham, especially coming up on the northbound side towards Cromer, towards and through North Walsham and out again, and then further up just going into Cromer. It's looking pretty slow. A47 on the Acle Straight, busy approaching the Acle roundabout. The A149 coming down Lawn Avenue into Great Yarmouth looks slow, and there's that usual northbound queue coming up towards the Gapton Hall roundabout as well. Durham Road in through Cossey to Norwich, and Drayton Road coming in as well, looking very busy. Bantry Junction looks a little bit busy too. And the Haven Bridge going to lift at 11:30 this morning, then later this afternoon at 4. The next updates in half an hour.
She would never say where she came from. Yesterday don't matter if it's gone. While the sun is bright, or in the darkest night, no one knows. She comes and goes. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Who could hang a name on you when you change with every new day? Still, I'm gonna miss you. Don't question why she needs to be so free. She'll tell you it's the only way to be. She just can't be chained to a life where nothing's gained or nothing's lost at such a cost.
Rolling Stones and Ruby Tuesday. Morning to Carol from Spall, who's texted in and said, morning Chrissie, what an inspirational man Steve Hopwood is. Loved hearing him speak on the radio. Thanks for that, Carol. And we're back after 11 talking TV.
Norfolk News, Norfolk Life.
This is BBC Radio Norfolk.
$11 o'clock, latest news for you right now. Here's Claire Worden.
The A11 remains closed after a serious crash near Attleborough this morning. A car and a lorry were in collision, as Amy Barrett reports.
Emergency services were called to the crash between London Road and the B1077 at about 7:30 this morning. A woman suffered injuries to her back and pelvis in the collision. The air ambulance was called to the crash, but the woman, who's in her 30s, was taken by land ambulance to the Norfolk and Norwich Hospital. Her injuries aren't thought to be life-threatening. The road was closed during rush hour, causing long delays for drivers who are diverted through Attleborough.
There are going to be wide-ranging cuts to NHS services in England under efficiency plans seen by the BBC. They aim to save billions of pounds and could in some areas see ward closures, cuts to bed numbers and changes to accident and emergency departments. NHS England says local people will be consulted on the changes. A man in his 30s is in hospital after falling 10 feet down a hole in North Norfolk. The fire service was called to Gong Lane in Burnham Overy just after 7:30. It took an hour to rescue him from the concrete shaft. He suffered injuries to his head and side and is being treated at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. A speedboat has crashed at Alton Broad. 4 people had to be taken to hospital. 2 adults and 2 children were on board. Emergency services were called to Caldecott Road at around 11:15 last night. A full search of the area was carried out to check that no one else had been injured. Jason Mantrip is the race commentator for the Lowestoft Alton Broad Motorboat Club.
It's very rare, and Alton Broad has got a pretty good track record of being a safe place. You know, some people don't have lights. They're going out, maybe, I'm not suggesting that this is the case, of course, but if they've had 1 or 2 drinks, they may have gone out and forgot to put the lights on.
A puppy has been dumped by its owner on a Norwich footpath and left to die. The RSPCA have launched an appeal for information after it was found on common land near Bowthorpe last Tuesday. The 5-month-old Saluki was suffering from the deadly parvovirus at the time. It had to be put to sleep by vets. Inspector Ben Kirby from the RSPCA is in no mind that the owner of the dog must have known how ill it was when it left them.
I'm in no doubt at all, given the symptoms that it was displaying and ultimately the infection and the disease that it had. This thing hasn't come on all of a sudden. This has taken some time to get to that point, and any half-reasonable animal owner would have noticed that in their animal.
Anyone with information is urged to contact the RSPCA. And lifeguards will be deployed this bank holiday weekend to the beach in East Sussex, where 5 young friends died on Wednesday. Council officials said the temporary RNLI lifeguard station at Camber Sands was designed to reassure the public and offer advice on water safety. The RNLI in Norfolk is warning people only to swim on lifeguarded beaches and be aware of tide times. BBC Radio Norfolk News, it's 3 minutes past 11.
BBC Radio Norfolk weather.
Fine and sunny afternoon, feeling less humid than recently, but still feeling quite warm in the sunshine. Top temperature this afternoon of 24. Tonight, dry and clear. Overnight temperatures down to 13. And over the bank holiday weekend, mostly dry and sunny. The chance of heavy thundery showers before clearing to sunny spells on Monday.
Chrissie Jackson on BBC Radio Norfolk.
Good morning. We are still taking your calls on lost property after a prom violinist left her 300-year-old Magini on the train. Sounds like a drink, doesn't it? I'll have one of them with Coke, thank you very much. And your Deb's line, what headline would you have for this story? Spectators at England's grandest cricket ground have been warned about causing injuries to fielders by hitting them with flying champagne corks. We've got them coming in. We could do 1 or 2 more, though. 81333 and start your message with the word Norfolk. I'll also be meeting Dave North from the Norfolk Wildlife Trust about some of the county's rare species that can be found on the Broads. And as Bircham Windmill gets set for their annual staff bread baking competition, I'll have a chat to Ellie Charmer about what's going on there, all that preparation that they're getting underway.
Slowly, but time with you is standing.
The Cause and Breathless. We are going to be talking about TV in the next 10 minutes. I tell you what, if there's a programme you're watching right now and you think, I don't know why more people aren't watching it, it's great. Let us know your recommendations. 81333. Start your message with the words Norfolk. And also spare a thought for Jane Gordon. You're going to think, who? Who's Jane Gordon? Well, she left a 300-year-old violin on the tube and she wants to be reunited with it. Obviously she does. She's due to play in the proms next week and she wants the violin back. So we've got your calls coming in about things that you have left behind. Hiya Chrissie, says Bernie. Things we've left behind. I once left my truck at a friend's house at the Fairstead. I'd forgotten I'd driven it there. I caught the X1 bus back home. I felt a little embarrassed explaining that one. I bet you did. And William, morning William. Hiya Chrissie, I once left a number of matched pair of very rare limited edition Black Widow catapults by a salmon river in Scotland. I was using it to cast balls of bread upstream. I was very, very cut up about it. Insurance paid up for a replacement, but he still wasn't happy. Judy is in Wheating. Hello, Judy.
Well, I'm in Spalding as well. I was
right.
in Wheating yesterday and I just got back last night. Now, Chrissie, I've spoke to you about fancy dresses and dressing up, remember?
Yes, I remember that.
And listening to things about Left Behind, I learnt to ride my friend's bicycle and Mum and Dad said, oh, perhaps Father Christmas will bring you a bicycle if you're good. And I was ever so good. Christmas morning, there was the prettiest little red bicycle you could see, and I was allowed to ride. I lived in Cranworth then, to Sunday school on it. And of course that night I went to bed and my dad woke me up. He said, Judy, what have you done with your bicycle? I need to lock it in the shed. Oh, my goodness, I forgot I had it. I'd left it outside the church gate.
Oh, Judy.
Yes, and my dad, at 11 o'clock, went down and there was the bicycle standing there.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I thought you were going to tell me it'd go on.
No, and I've never, ever left anything else behind. I'm 73 soon. I've always checked everything. I never forgot that little red bicycle.
Oh, what a story. And I'm so glad you got it back as well.
Yes, it was so pretty, and I cried and cried, and my daddy come up to me, bless him, and he said, it's still there, don't upset yourself, and Mum was sitting by me. They'd say so hard for it, they had, so there you go.
What a story, Judy. Thanks very much for telling us all about it.
All right, my darling.
Okay,
thank you.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
I will do.
Bye-bye. Oh, what a story, hey, Judy, there about that little red bike. We have got time to get some more in as well if you want to give us a call, 01603 617 321. But we're going to be talking TV next. What's the mid-morning team watching at the moment? What are we looking forward to watching next week?
Every day I bless the day that you got through.
Hot chocolate, everyone's a winner. It's Chrissie Jackson till midday. Stephen Pumphrey here from midday. 1 foot in the groove. Where's he off to today? Where will it be? Which years? 86 and 96. And hello to Dan from Kings Lynn, who's texted in to 81333. Start the message with the word Norfolk. I knew this family went on holiday but left their son Kevin behind at home. Ba-boom, shh.
I think they made a film about that.
They did make a film of that. Was it? Yeah, Dan. Was it Home Alone? Was that it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Home Alone 2. Home
See what you did there, Dan.
Yeah, nice try.
He's here all week. He's here all week. Thank you very much for that, Dan. Keep those calls coming in and the texts coming in as well. So we're talking about TV. We've got Deb's line. Just read it out one more time, Debs, what we're after.
The line is, spectators at England's grandest cricket ground have been warned about causing injuries to fielders by hitting them with flying champagne corks.
Right.
So we've had some nice sound effects provided by Kevin. We've had some really good ones in this morning. So it's going to be difficult to choose, but I need more. I just need more.
She's always after more, is Debs. She drives a hard bargain. 81333, start your message with the word Norfolk. We're going to talk about telly. Let's talk about stuff that we've been watching this week. If we pick one programme. Kev, let's go to you first.
Yeah, I watched this programme about Atlantis the other night. Bettany Hughes, the TV historian. It was all based around this island in the Med. It's called Santorini, and they found back in '64 they discovered this town, which they think may be the historical.
The mythical city of?
Yeah.
Was it mythical? Yeah, it really did exist.
This is the whole question. Did it really? Was it really there and whatever? This particular town they found, Akrotiri, they call it, is actually empty, and it's been covered by ash from a volcano, much like Pompeii, but there are no bodies. That means that the whole population of this town, which they reckon to be about 15,000 people, actually moved away before the volcano erupted.
Right. Which channel was it? This sounds like something that'd be on National Geographical or something.
No, it's BBC 4.
Oh, was it?
My favourite channel. Yeah, so the query is whether this is Atlantis and, legends built up around it, or is this just a random town? But the strange thing is that the entire population vanished.
And that was
town.
it. Ooh.
Have they found any remnants of life there?
Yeah, they've found pots that were wrapped up in cloth so they'd be safe from the volcanic eruption. It's just the fact that everybody, 15,000 people managed to get off this island.
And how did that work?
Yeah,
how is that possible?
Just a mass exodus.
So you can still get that on catch up, of course.
Yeah, that's on
BBC
catch up,
4. That's Kevin's choice. Debs, what about you?
I think I watch telly really differently to everyone because I just watch it on one of these Now boxes. So I just go to whatever I fancy watching at the time.
And what did you fancy watching this week?
Well,
then?
I actually made the venture back to BBC One this week because I'm addicted to the Bake Off. How is no one else addicted to the Bake Off? I mean, it's people baking cakes and 2 people trying them. What is not to love about this programme? So I am addicted to the Bake Off. So I actually, my mum phoned me about 10:45 on Wednesday, and it got to the opening titles of the programme. I was like, yeah, Mum, Bake Off's on, bye.
Yeah,
bye.
Must go.
Hung
right,
up.
bye. Don't you know what's happening?
She gets it.
That is about one of the only shows I watch in real time. So I'm a bit like you and watch stuff on catch up now.
Yeah, I get into the habit of if I watch a big series, I have to watch all of that season in one go.
That's the way we watch telly now, don't we?
But Bake Off, I'm about ready for the suspense every week. It's Biscuit Week next week.
So we got Bake Off, we got Atlantis. The one I really enjoyed, the programme I really enjoyed this week was Chronicles of Nadia, who was last
I saw that as
winner.
well, yeah.
That was excellent. She's a real star. She's so natural in front of the camera, just talking to the camera, and she went back to Bangladesh.
Between you and me, Chrissie, I sort of cried at the end because it was
Yeah.
really emotional.
Oh.
Actually, when
many tears.
she'd gone from Bangladesh and she was about to go back home, and all these people that she wasn't going to see again for such a long time, I welled up.
I know we did. So that's what we've watched this week that we liked. Let us know what you've been watching this week and you liked. And then in a little while, we're going to talk about stuff we're looking forward to watching next week. Mike Oldfield. Moonlight Shadow. So we're talking telly, mid-morning. Got the mid-morning team in. We've talked about what we've watched this week. What about coming up? We'll have to pick. We've got to pick one show that we're looking forward to seeing. Debs, we'll come to you first. What are you after?
I'm one of those reality show idiots, I think. As I cannot wait for next Saturday the 3rd of September, 10 to 7, I'll be glued to the reveal show of Strictly Come Dancing.
Oh, I like that one.
Back!
When
I'm
they
so
know
excited.
who they're going to be. And we've got new dancers this year as well.
Yeah.
Some new ones.
Did you say nude?
New.
Oh, new.
That's a different show. That's on BBC Two later on.
Okay.
Or Channel 5.
Yeah.
Strictly, we've got that in there,
Very
in the
excited.
bag. What are you going for?
Right,
Kev?
I'm going to be slightly cheeky and say it's this whole BBC redoing of classic comedies. Next Friday, Goodnight Sweetheart, and the early days of Keeping Up Appearances. So the whole...
Oh, well, young Hyacinth
and
Bouquet.
her sisters as well. So that's all. But Sunday night, Porridge. It's Norman Stanley Fletcher's grandson, who is, he says hastily looking at his notes, Nigel Norman Fletcher.
Such a build-up for Nigel.
And he's inside for cybercrime, basically, and one of his... Well, they have to try
and bring it up to date, I suppose.
One of the
don't
people
they?
in prison with him is somebody who ran over a bank robber while he was trying to drive the getaway car.
Oh, I see. All right.
So
Well, that's what you're going for. The one I'm going for, it starts on Sunday, ITV, Victoria. About Queen Victoria. Jenna Coleman, last time seen on telly would have been with Doctor Who, but she's playing Victoria. We've got Tom Hughes, who was in Silk on telly. He's going to be Prince Albert. And Rufus Sewell, who's going to be Lord Melbourne. And so many people have been talking about this and writing about it. And it's going to be on twice this weekend. We've got two episodes. Sunday, 9 o'clock ITV. And then Bank Holiday Monday, they're going to have the second episode.
So it's an ongoing series?
Yeah, well, it's a series of Victoria. One little fact that I found out about this. Jenna Coleman has brown eyes. Queen Victoria had blue eyes. Jenna Coleman had to try on 70 different contact lenses before they got the right shade of blue in front of the camera. The things these actors do.
Have they never heard of CGI?
Well,
yeah,
just one of those things.
Okay.
I thought you were going to tell us something about Prince Albert then.
Maybe another week. Thank you.
BBC Radio Norfolk Travel.
And here's Russell.
Well, most roads are very busy around the Attleborough area because of the closure of the A11. Now, it's just one lane that's closed now, but it had been closed for quite some time. So there are still delays on a number of roads in the area. Looking at the speed sensors, they're showing queues in both directions on the A11, and then the A11 also queuing further down as you approach the A134, the Wunford Road roundabout at Thetford. The A1065 has been extra busy through Brandon, and there are also delays going out on both the A1065 and A11 towards the Barton Mills roundabout. In fact, the queue on the A11 is back beyond Elvedon, so long delays going out of town, or out of county I should say, on the A11. Today, A1066 at Diss, very busy, especially heading away from Thetford. There are some delays coming down through Griston to come towards the A11. It looks very busy on the A47 around the Honningham area, both directions, but especially heading away from Norwich. And the A47 also very slow coming out of Yarmouth towards the Acle roundabout. There's a slight delay on the A47 coming into Great Yarmouth as well, and the A149 slow along that usual stretch on Lawn Avenue down into Great Yarmouth. A12 queuing up towards the Gapton Hall roundabout in Great Yarmouth. A149 coming out of North Walsham to go towards Cromer. There's a bit of a queue, and then it's slow as you come up into Cromer. Delays around Fakenham coming up the A1065. There's a queue approaching the A148, and the A148 in the Kings Lynn bound direction looks like it's queuing towards there too. And then the road coming down from east and west Barsham, the B1105, bit of a queue trying to get onto the A148 there. Kings Lynn, seeing delays coming up the A10 towards West Winch as you come into Lynn. The A47 coming up towards the A17 at the Pullover roundabout looking slow. It's also really busy on the roundabout, the Wisbeach Emnith area, A1101, A47 roundabout. And the Haven Bridge, that is due to lift at 11:30, so any minute now. Now, there might be something more you can see causing a problem. Do let me know. 0330 123 3551. Trains are all right. Next update, half an hour.
Nick Conrad on BBC Radio Norfolk.
When is it right to introduce alcohol into your child's life? What would you like to say?
If the parents respect alcohol, I should think the children probably will too.
I don't think that children should be introduced to alcohol at all. In reality, it is a liquid drug.
I hate a drink. They never had drink introduced to them, but that didn't do me any good because my son ended up an alcoholic and a drug addict. But he's my son. I don't like him, but I love him.
Your biggest listen at breakfast. Back Monday morning from 6:30 on BBC Radio Norfolk.
Been paying every day. Oh, I used to love to make you cry. It made me feel like a man inside. If I had been a man in reality, you would be here, baby, loving me. Now my nights are long and lonely, and I ain't too proud, babe, I just miss you so. Girl, but you're too proud. Won't give in, but when I think about all I could win, I'll keep working my way back to you, babe, with a burning love inside. Yeah, I'm working my way back to you, babe, and the happiness that died, I let it get away. Hey, every day. My road is kind of long. I just gotta get back home. Oh, I'm really sorry for acting that way. I'm really sorry. Ooh, little girl, I'm really sorry for telling you lies for so long. Oh, please forgive me, girl. Come on, give me a chance. Won't you forgive me, girl? Hey, let's start again. Ooh, forgive me, girl. Let's start again. Come on, forgive me, girl. I want you over and over and over and over again. I keep working my way back to you, babe, with a burning love inside. Yeah, I'm working my way back to you, babe, and the happiness that died, I let it get away. Paying every day.
Detroit Spinners, working my way back to you. I've been trying to get out as many What's Ons as we can on the show today. It's always very busy on a Friday, isn't it, with the What's Ons. Thanks to Colin, who called in. Can you let everyone know St Mary's Church in Earlham, Norwich, will have its doors open on Bank Holiday Monday from 10:30, showing exhibition of the history of the church, and had an email in from Maureen. Hi, Chrissie, can you just let everyone know there's lots going on in Loddon and Chedgrave over the bank holiday weekend. Saturday 10 till 5, Sunday 12 noon till 5. Holy Trinity Church in Loddon. They've got an art exhibition there. There's a cheese and wine event going on Sunday. 11 o'clock, there's an annual charity football match at Jubilee Hall playing field. That's in memory of Kevin Sayer. Also on Sunday, there's a pop-up garage sale, various garages and gardens around the town as well. And then maps are going to be on sale for that for 50 pence. If you've got any time to get any more in, then of course we definitely will. And with baking competitions being popular on our TV screens at the moment, it seems to have inspired the whole county. This bank holiday Monday, the staff at Bircham Windmill are holding their annual bread baking competition. And joining me on the phone is Windmill owner Ellie Chalmers. Ellie, hello, good morning.
Hello, Chrissie. How you doing?
Not too bad at all. Tell me more about exactly what's going to be happening on Monday then.
Okay, well, we have it's an annual event for us actually, and all the staff bake a loaf of bread. There's lots of good-natured rivalry and secrecy over what they're going to actually bake on the day. And then what we do is we number each loaf so nobody knows whose is whose, and ask the visitors to the windmill to judge it for us.
Oh, I like the idea of that.
Yeah. So we cut up samples, and they can taste it and discuss amongst themselves who they think should win, and then they vote. They write on a piece of paper which number they think should win and post it in our box, and we count them up at the end.
And I know you can't really say too much about what's been baked this year, but what about previous years? What different types of bread have you had?
Oh, all sorts. We've had curried bread, herb bread, fruit bread, breakfast loaf. That was a winner one year. All sorts of breads.
I mean, I've been to Bircham Windmill on a number of occasions. I just love the smell of the place, as well. That is great. What's your favourite bread?
Oh, gosh, my favourite. I think probably focaccia bread is one of my favourites, and we'll be doing that on the Bank Holiday Monday, along with all our other favourites to sell in the bakery. The feta and olive and oatmeal breads and multi-seed breads and, all sorts of things. Busy day for us.
Yeah, does anyone try out any new, different ones that you haven't sold before?
We did an onion bread one year, and we might do that again this year. That was one of our winners of a previous bread staff award. So, we try that one, I think.
Lovely. So is anyone going along to the windmill for this weekend? They can have a try of the bread and then just vote for their favourite one.
That's right.
And what about the winner? What does the winner get, Ellie?
Oh, we've got a little trophy, and rosettes to 6th place. So that should be fun. And we've also got a family bread quiz and a children's trail around the garden. So there's lots going on up here. As well as the usual children's bread baking that we do here and the sheep milking and, something for everyone, we hope.
Well, we hope it goes well. It will do. The weather's going to be fine. Thanks very much for telling us about it, Ellie.
Lovely. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks, Chris.
Take
Have a
care
good day.
now. And you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Say it's true. They got a message from the action man. I'm happy, hope you're happy too. I've loved all I've needed love, saw the details fall away. The shrieking when nothing is killing, just pictures of chap girls and synthesis. And I ain't got no money and I ain't got no hands. But I'm hoping to kick because planet is glowing. Ashes to ash and funk to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven's high, hitting an all-time low. no smoking pistol. I've never done good things. I've never done bad things. I never did anything out of the blue. Whoa. Wanna next to break the ice. Wanna come down right now. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven's high, hitting an on-time road. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done,
David Bowie, Ashes to Ashes. Just remind you again about that bread festival. It's Bank Holiday Monday at Bircham Windmill. It starts at 10, goes on until 5. It's free entry to the bakery, of course, and it's this weekend, the Bircham Windmill. They are hosting their annual staff bread baking competition. And as you heard Ellie say, that's where the staff spend the day baking, and they lay out samples for the visitors. And it's the visitors that judge, and you have to say which is your favourite. Someone wins a prize at the end. And this week we have been looking at the Broads, and it's the final day of our Broads week. And how could we not mention some of the amazing wildlife that live on our waterways? Around 230 nationally important mini beasts can be found here, including the swallowtail butterfly and the rare Norfolk hawker dragonfly. The habitat provided by the Broads is a dream for twitchers, with a huge amount of rare birds residing here. Ranworth Broad is one of those places which is a very popular location for those hoping to spot a kingfisher. David North is Head of People and Wildlife for the Norfolk Wildlife Trust, joining me now. I've been to Ranworth Broad for a few times. I've never seen a kingfisher. I'd love to see one.
Well, you know what they say? They say you have to be blessed to see a kingfisher, so better be on your best behaviour. But genuinely, I have seen a kingfisher at Ranworth, and you're always in with a chance.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to keep going then.
Yeah.
Make sure.
It really helps if you know that little high-pitched whistle they make, because then you turn around as they fly past and you actually spot them. But they are quite fast. They're often smaller than people think as well.
Well, let's have a talk about the Wildlife Centre at Ranworth. This centre is rather special, isn't it?
Ranworth is, I mean, on a day like today, I can't imagine, I know we're here in the studio, but it would be a delight to be at Ranworth. Walking down the boardwalk to our floating visitor centre, you go through all those waving reeds, they'll be dancing around today, perhaps with swallows overhead, and then the glittering sunlight on the water as you come to what's a very unique, it's actually a floating visitor centre. It was one of the first floating visitor centres anywhere in the UK, I believe. And you go inside the visitor centre and there's a huge window looking out on Ranworth Broad, which is part of the nature reserve. There's no boats apart from the very special Norfolk Wildlife Trust boat, which takes visitors around on that broad. And it's incredibly rich for wildlife. Earlier in the season, up to a couple of weeks ago, you might have seen a swallowtail butterfly dancing over the boardwalk as you walk down. Today you'd be looking for the green and black striped caterpillars on the milk parsley there, which is a very rare plant, and enjoying the purple loosestrife, which is a blaze of purple at the moment. And perhaps over the water you'd hear terns calling. And there's any time of year you go to Ranworth, it's free of charge to go in the visitor centre. It's open every day during August and September. So if you've got some time over the bank holiday, call in there. You can also book a boat trip with us and go round the Broad, and it'll be the only boat on the water. Peace, absolute tranquility.
Lovely.
Stunning wildlife.
Very nice
and
too.
Even the chance of a kingfisher or perhaps an otter, but you do have to be lucky.
Whenever I've been there, there's always been lots of children around. They clearly love Ranworth Broad and the visitor visitors centre and going up, because you've got binoculars in there as well, haven't you? So they can have a
Yes,
look
it's got an upstairs too with a fantastic view over the tern nesting platforms. It's one of our most important sites for education work. So obviously it's the school holidays now and lots of families go. But during the summer term time, we get lots of Norwich schools and Norfolk schools coming out, and we instill just a fascination for the wildlife. We do pond dipping with them. We show them the terns nesting. We've even got some fantastic new cameras which are on the reserve, which you can see in the visitor centre, to show them the young terns on the nesting platforms.
And you can also see the crested grebe there. I've read about it, I can read it, but I wouldn't know what one looked like. So what would I have to look for?
Well, great crested grebes, if you went far enough back, they were an extremely rare bird. I think it was in the 1860s. There were only about 20 left in the whole of Britain because they'd been shot and killed for their feathers, which were used in ladies' hats and also for grebe muffs, believe it or not. But with gravel pits and more open water areas, they've recovered really over the last 100 years. They're quite a common bird in the Norfolk Broads, but there's nowhere better than the visitor centre at Ranworth to watch them. If you go in the springtime, early springtime, February, March, April time, they have the most extraordinary and I think perhaps the most wonderful breeding display of any British birds. They do almost, we've been watching the Olympics, I mean they do synchronised swimming and synchronised diving.
Do they?
And the male and the female rear up on the water together, almost breast to breast. The male will dive down and bring up weed and drape it round the female, and they bob up and down in synchrony, and they dash around on the water, and it's just brilliant to watch. Later in the year, up to perhaps 2 or 3 weeks ago, they'd have had quite young, and they carry the youngsters when they're small on their backs, which is a delight to watch. Sometimes they're so hidden in the feathers you hardly recognise there's anything there, and then a little head pops out. That's probably as a way of keeping them safe from fish like pike, which would predate a tiny little grebe. They're fish feeders, of course. But now there's bigger young grebes, which are not carried by the parents. They'll be finding their own fish now, with stripy heads that look very different. They're a
Well, we'll have a look at
magnificent looking bird as well. They spend a lot of time under the water. They're able to catch small fish like sticklebacks, but they have these gorgeous orange and black head plumes, and a very striking bird, and we're so lucky to have them at Ranworth in the Norfolk Broads.
Aren't you? I've got a leaflet in front of me. Go Wild in Norfolk, and we've had a great time this week talking about the Broads and telling people about them and their importance to Norfolk. And the leaflet that you have, we've got Clay Marshes, we've got Hickling Broad, Foxley Wood, Weeting Heath, Ranworth Broad, which we're talking about here. We're spoilt for choice, really, aren't we?
We are. I mean, Norfolk Wildlife Trust was set up, it's our 90th anniversary, as I'm sure some of your listeners know, because we had lots of wonderful publicity, including on Radio Norfolk, about that. But we now have reserves right across the county, more than 50 nature reserves, and some of our best-known reserves are in the Broad. Hickling Broad is the largest Broad, that's the Norfolk Wildlife Trust Reserve. Ranworth was its floating visitor centre, but lots of the smaller Broads. I mean, Barton Broad, that's a very big one, that's Norfolk Wildlife Trust. Martham Broad, Alderfen Broad, which was our second ever nature reserve, going way back into the 1920s. So we've got a long history of protecting wildlife, and it's such an important area. It's the largest wetland in lowland England, home to incredibly rare species, birds like the common crane, which of course isn't common at all, it's extremely rare, the only wild breeding population in the UK. Birds like the bittern in the reed beds, the swallowtail butterfly, again only found in the Norfolk Broads, and lots of more extraordinary creatures that possibly people won't have heard of, things like fen mason wasps, which are found at Hickling, incredibly rare, one of the only sites in Britain for them. Fascinating when you get to know about them. That's the great thing. Go to the Norfolk Wildlife Trust website, and we have loads of events. Some of those are free, some you just pay a small charge, and you can go out with an expert. As I say, we run boat trips both at Hickling and Ranworth, and that's a great chance to go spotting otters if you're lucky, but certainly seeing the marsh harriers.
Maybe what we'll say then is if you've got a bit of time for this bank holiday weekend, if you haven't been out, go and try a different place to visit in the Broads and find out something new and look for something.
I can't think of anything. It's, in this kind of weather, and hopefully it will stay a little bit warm over the bank holiday, who knows, but just being beside water is special, isn't it? And definitely. Wildlife loves water too. The water's edge is such a rich space. People love it, but it's also rich in wildlife.
David, thank you very much for coming in and talking about Ranworth Broad and everything else about the Broads. Have a good weekend.
Yep,
Enjoy whatever you're
holiday.
up to. Thanks very much. David North, Head of People and Wildlife at the Norfolk Wildlife Trust. It's Jerry Rafferty. Jerry Rafferty. Get it right next time. Jenny in Great Yarmouth, who called in with another What's On. Morning, Jenny. Family Fun Day at St George's Plaza in Great Yarmouth tomorrow between 10 and 5. They've got a tombola. There's a raffle prizes and everything has all been donated and the funds are going to the traders who lost everything in that recent fire. So, Jenny, thanks very much for telling us all about it. Hope that goes well for you. And, you know, been so busy today, we forgot about Deb's line. I'm so sorry about that, Debs. You're in here a bit late. You're a bit late.
I've been waiting by the door.
The story then was about
the story goes: spectators at England's grandest cricket ground have been warned about causing injuries to fielders by hitting them with flying champagne corks. The first thing that comes to my mind is, why are they fizzing them up to pop them? And why are you aiming at people?
Well, because they're blokes who've had one too many, probably.
Well, that's the best reason.
No,
I've
it's
heard
I
all
said
day.
blokes. That was a bit sexist, wasn't it? But
Well,
anyway,
I am a sucker for a little bit of alliteration. So well done to Jeannie, who has come up with my winning Deb's line today. Cricket crowds cautioned to curb the corks.
Hey,
I love it. Well done.
But thank you very much, Jeannie. You are our winner today. The other thing that we've been talking about is leaving stuff behind. Stephen is in West Earlham. Hello, Stephen.
Hello there.
Hello. Tell me about something that got left behind on a bus.
Well, for 30 years I worked for First, 25 years as an inspector, and extraordinary things have happened, but this one was really out of the wood. I boarded a Norfolk bus going obviously to the terminus, and in doing so, I was checking through the bus, and there was a lady with a buggy. Didn't think anything of it, because I was in the buggy department. Got down to the terminus, doing the business with the driver, turned round, and there was a buggy still in the bay.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, she's gone with the baby. So I did a cursory thing, checked the bus, went down to the buggy, and there, in the buggy, was a baby.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. I said, hang on a minute, driver. I said, we got a bit of a problem here.
Oh.
And so I rang Bethel Street and said, we'll be coming in city centre, but we'll retrace the route.
Yeah.
Yes, which is what we did. Obviously, we were scheduled to do that anyway.
And please tell me that baby and mother were reunited.
Yeah, they were. Well, she met us halfway down Bolthorpe Road. She was in the middle of the road.
Oh, no. I bet she was thinking, oh, my goodness, what have I done?
She was absolutely frantic. And I said, I don't know what to say. She said, well, I'm sorry, I've got a lot on my mind. But she must have walked past the buggy to get out by the door.
Oh, Stephen, thank you very much for that. What a story to finish with. Great story. Thanks for that, Stephen.
BBC Radio Norfolk Travel.
And here's Russell.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? Quite something. Now, on the A11, it's still one lane closed northbound, heading away from the Breckland Lodge roundabout towards the Ellingham Road. It's because of an accident. They're now doing barrier repairs there, but it's left some pretty heavy delays for traffic in both directions. It's actually been really busy, and there's still a queue, certainly on the northbound side towards Norwich. The delays the other way look to have cleared. Saying that, there are other bits of the A11 that look really, really busy. Firstly, towards Norwich, there are queues coming around the top of the Thetford bypass, so then there's the queue going up past the lane closure at Attleborough, and then a queue further up. There's a bit just before we get to Larling that looks like it's queuing as well, and then queuing up towards the A47 at the Thickthorn roundabout. Heading away from Norwich is it's heading away from Norwich is around the Thetford bypass where there's a queue. Northbound isn't so bad there, and then it's queuing south towards the Barton Mills roundabout back beyond Elvedon, so long delays there. A1065 extra busy towards Elvedon as well, or towards Barton Mills, and then in both directions around Brandon, not helped I'm sure by the level crossing and traffic diverting there earlier on. A149 very slow going up into North Walsham. A148 and A1065 very busy towards each other just outside Fakenham. There's a queue up the A10 going from just before Setch up all the way to West Winch and up on towards the Hardwick roundabout at Kings Lynn, and a queue up from there on the A149 towards the Jubilee roundabout. Looks pretty slow on the A47 coming towards there too, and then it's slow on the A149 further up towards Heacham. Also A47 each way at Wisbeach looking slow. A17 going out towards Sutton Bridge looks very busy, and the delay A140 towards Norwich at Long Stratton's looking slow. A1066 through Diss very busy each way, especially heading away from Skull, and the A47 Blowfield bypass towards Great Yarmouth looking busy. Usual delays around Yarmouth and Norwich as well. The next update's in half an hour.
I love engaging with people. I love finding out about people and finding out what makes them tick.
Kirstine Thorne.
I just love visiting all those places in Norfolk that you have that bit of extra time to visit. not having to worry about what you've got to do the next day, just that freedom to stay up as late as you like.
Saturday breakfast.
I'm definitely more of a morning person. I'm a good morning person, I think.
Saturday breakfast
With Kirstine Thorne.
on BBC Radio Norfolk.
You're part of the BBC.
Thank you very much for your company today. Stephen is next. I'll be here on Monday for breakfast for Bank Holiday Monday.
Looking for romance, saw Barbara Ann, so I thought I'd take a chance with Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, you got me rocking and a rolling, rocking and a reeling, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann.
Ba ba ba. Ba ba ba. Right. There you go. Thank you very much to Chrissie, and of course the Beach Boys, or as they say in France.